Hare Krishna devotees. So I
Hare
welcome
Krishna.
you all to this 13th chapter today. Okay. So it is most devotee find it very difficult to understand because of the many terms used here. Okay, so many terms are used here in this chapter, and devotees tend to get confused. Okay. So I'll be a little slow through this chapter. It will take maybe 2 days, 1 and 2 days to finish it. Slowly, we'll try to understand the terms and all. Okay. And when you read, you can understand the terms and all. Okay. So let's understand. Let's start with the chapter first with Nam Mantra. So when we start reading Bhagavad Gita, there will be like uh, so if you have Bhagavad Gita book, you will have introduction. Okay, so if you open the Bhagavad Gita book like this, it is not visible. No? So when you open, so there will be introduction, and in introduction there will be like Mangala Charan. So we start by reading Mangala Charan. Okay, so if you have the book, you can open and you can read with me. Like Om Agyana Timirandhasya Jnana Jana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manoabhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utpadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijan Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deen Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhavevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So like this, you will find it in introduction. So when you start reading Bhagavad Gita in home, so you can open the book and you can open the introduction. You read the Mangalacharan first, then you start reading. Like that you can do. Okay. So that is what I wanted to tell you. So that is from the introduction part. Okay. So when we start reading, you will find many time I will read the Mangalacharan. So that is the thing.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this Om Anjana Sri Chaitanya Mano and Vande Ham Sri Guru Ho
Yes,
Sri
Mataji, it is there.
Okay.
Yes, that part only. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakya. So that part only. So from there we'll start. Okay. So when we start reading, we can read that first. So today's chapter is 13th chapter, Nature, Enjoy and Consciousness. So we are totally different topics. The Gyan Yoga we are starting. Okay. So let's pay our humble obeisances to Sri Radha Govind and we start this chapter. We pay our humble obeisances unto his lotus feet. So chapter number 12, we have read small chapter. It was, but very nice chapter. So 1 to 7 sloka, Bhakti over impersonalism. So we have read the difference between the personalist and impersonalist. We knew that the path of impersonalism is very difficult. Kleshu adhikam. There's so much clash is there in the path of impersonalism. But Bhakti, Krishna personally protect the devotee. He is swift deliverer from the ocean of material existence when a person follows the personalism path. Okay. So that we have read in the first section, section A. Section B, progressive stages of devotion. So from the highest to lowest, we have known 6 options which we have to perform the bhakti. Okay, so 6 options we have. And then the section C, that the quality that endears ones to Krishna, the quality which is very dear to Krishna. Okay, so those things we have. And the last was a person who makes Krishna goal of his goal of the life is the most dear to Krishna, very, 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 very dear to Krishna. So that we have learned in chapter number 12, the 3 sections. Now we are coming to 13th chapter. So 35 slokas are there. Verse number 1, Arjuna is asking 6 questions: Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetragya, Jnana, Geyam. 6 questions. All these questions related to the Jnana Yoga. Okay. Then 13.2 to 13.7, 2 to 7 sloka, Krishna answers the question 3 and 4. First and second question, Krishna is answering at the last. The third and fourth question, the Kshetra and Kshetragya, Krishna is answering in 2nd to 7th sloka. Then from 12th sloka, Krishna is answering the 5th question, that is process of knowledge and liberation, the Jnanam. And 13th to 19th, he is answering the 6th sloka, 6th question, that is object of the knowledge or the goal of the knowledge, so Geyam. And at last, the section E from 20 to 26, Krishna is answering first 2 questions, Prakriti and Purusha, Prakriti, Purusha and their union. So first 2 sloka, Krishna is answering at the last. And at last, we will see Jnana Chakshu, the vision of knowledge. Okay. So these will be our topics of discussion. So whole chapter is based on the 6 questions which Arjuna is asking, and Krishna is trying to describe the answers. Okay. So let's start. So 3 sections of Bhagavad Gita we have read. First 6 sloka, first 6 chapter, second 6 chapter, and third 6 chapter. So the middle 6 chapter is related to the Bhakti Yoga. So these 6 chapter, middle 6 chapter, actual Bhakti Yoga, and these 2 chapter 1 to 6 and chapter 13 to 18 are related to the cover of the book of like the cover of the jewel box. Okay. So Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga, both are important, but without Bhakti, it is not important. Without Bhakti, it doesn't have any meaning. Okay. If you have the karma, okay, and there is no knowledge of Krishna, there is no knowledge of Bhakti. What is the meaning of karma? There is no meaning of karma if there is no Bhakti. Okay. If karma is not attached to Bhakti, what is the meaning of karma? Next, like a Jnana. What is the meaning of Jnana if Jnana is not related to Krishna? Okay. So that is the thing. So Jnana is also important when it is related to Bhakti. So if you see, all 3 chapters are basically the Bhakti Yoga only. But first 6 chapter will tell you how Bhakti can be achieved through karma, and last 6 chapter will tell you how the Bhakti can be achieved through Jnana. But middle 6 chapter, pure Bhakti. Okay. So that is the difference of 3 sections. So section 1, that is chapter 1 to 6, that is explain the karma or action of the platform of knowledge, and perfection of action performed to please Lord Krishna. Okay. So actually these are Bhakti Yoga only. So first 6 chapter, how to attain Krishna, how to perform Bhakti through karma. And the middle 6 chapter, pure Bhakti. And the last 6 chapter, the Jnana, perfection of Jnana is Bhakti. Yes, how to attain Krishna through Bhakti. So these are the 3 sections. And if you see, if Bhakti is the culmination, why Jnana presented in last 6 chapter? So I already told you there is no meaning of Jnana if Krishna is not there in that Jnana. Okay. That's why Bhakti is kept in the middle, so that the Jnana also get essence of the Bhakti and the karma also get essence of the Bhakti. Please mute yourself so that we can okay. So if Bhakti is culmination, why is Jnana presented in last 6 chapters? Okay. So the thing is, in truth, the entire Bhagavad Gita is about Bhakti. The first 6 chapter discuss how to achieve Bhakti through work, and the last 6 chapter, how to achieve it through knowledge. Okay. So the middle 6 chapter are purely Bhakti itself. So also we have discussed also in the 12th chapter, Krishna explained how he personally delivers his devotee from the birth and death cycle. Personally delivers, swift deliverer. We have read in the last chapter. Okay. And so in the last 6 chapter, provide the philosophical knowledge necessary to extricate oneself from the material world. So philosophical knowledge, the basic philosophical knowledge necessary, so that we have the knowledge of this material world, how this material world works, okay, and what is our real position for that thing. Okay. Jnana has its use in assisting our detachment from Maya and our attachment to Krishna. So if you have the jnana about this material world, then we can detach ourselves from this material world and we can attach ourselves to Krishna. Okay, so jnana has its role. Hence, when we use knowledge as a mean to attain devotion, it becomes a part of bhakti. Now Arjuna 6 questions. So Arjuna is asking 6 questions. What are those 6 questions? Arjuna said, "Oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, Purusha, the field and the knower of the field, and of the knowledge and the end of knowledge." So total 6 questions are there. What are those 6 questions? Arjuna is asking to Krishna, what is Prakriti? Then what is Purusha? Then what is the field and what is the knower of the field? 4 questions. Prakriti, Purusha, field, and the knower of the field, and the knowledge and the end of the knowledge. See, these are the 6 questions. The blessed Lord said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." Okay, so this is the question and this is the answer. Let's try to decode this question and answer part. So these are the 6 questions which is there in the tabulated form, and these are the answers which Krishna is giving through the different sloka. You can find the sloka number in the side. So these are the questions and answer. You see Prakriti. The first question is Prakriti. What is the Prakriti? So the Prakriti is the ever-changing material nature is called the Prakriti. The nature which is every day changing, every time which is changing, that is called Prakriti. Okay, the material nature is called Prakriti. Then Purusha. What is the Purusha? Purusha is the enjoyer of the Prakriti. Okay, so the Jiva is called the enjoyer of the Prakriti, but there is a Param Purusha also, the Param enjoyer. Who is the Param enjoyer? Krishna is the Param enjoyer. Okay, so Prakriti is the material nature and Purusha is the enjoyer. Okay, so Prakriti can be the material nature and the Purusha is the enjoyer or the Jiva, and Param Purusha is there. One is called Param Purusha, and that Param Purusha is Sri Krishna. Okay, and Parampurusha is the enjoyer, and we all are enjoyed. Prakriti along with us, all are enjoyed. So these are the 2 things. Then the Kshetra. Kshetra means where the work is being done. Okay, so we, the Jiva, are doing work on somewhere. Where we are doing the work? We are doing the work through this body, on this body. So this work is being done through this body. So this Kshetra, the answer of this question is Kshetra is this body. The Shariram is called the Kshetra. The next question comes Kshetragya, who is the knower of this field. So knower of this field are two things are there. Okay, knower of this field. So observer in in the body is soul and super soul. Okay, so 2 Kshetragya are there. Who are the 2 Kshetragya who are knowing about this body? Is the soul and the super soul. Both are called the Kshetragya. Okay, so Kshetra is the body and Sariram. Kshetragya is the soul and the super soul. Then the Jnanam or the knowledge. So the answer is understanding Kshetra and Kshetragya is called the Jnanam. The relation between the Kshetra and Kshetragya, that is called the Jnanam. A person who knows what is the relation between the Kshetra and Kshetragya, what is the relationship between the soul and the super soul and the body, 3 things, that is called the Jnanam. And the Gayam, the goal of knowledge, is the Paramatma. Okay, the Lord is the goal of knowledge. What is the goal of knowing all these things, everything? The goal is Krishna only. Okay, so the goal of all the knowledge is Paramatma. So these are the 6 questions, and Krishna is giving this 6-question answer. Okay. Next, we see this analogy to understand. So this is a field. A field is there. Okay. So you see the field, this body where the work is being done by the Atma is called the field. So this field is compared to this body. So this field represents this body. Let's try to understand with an analogy of this field and the body. So this field is the body. Okay. So who is working in this body? Is the farmer. You see the farmer appeared. So this farmer is working on the field. Okay. So this Atma is the soul is represented by this farmer. Okay. So the farmer is working on the field and this field is this body. But there is one more Kshetragya. Who is that? So one Kshetragya is here. One Kshetragya is appearing here. You see, Supreme Lord, Super Soul. Soul is one knower and Super Soul is another knower. Okay, so this field belongs to this father, this farmer, as well as this field belongs to this Super Soul. The body belongs to the soul, as well as this body belongs to Super Soul. Okay, so two things are there. Knower. So knower are two. One is the farmer, and one is the uh, one is the government. Okay, so this represents the government. Okay, so government is there, who is also the owner of the field. So two owners of the field are there. One is the farmer and one is the king. So two owners are there. This field is there and field has two owners, the farmer and the king. Okay. There is one difference though. Okay. What is the difference? The farmer is the owner of single land in the kingdom, but the king is the owner of all the land which is there in the kingdom. Okay. So that is the difference. So the farmer or this Atma knows just about this one body, and that too partial knowing. He is not the full knower. He is not the full controller of this body. We don't know fully about our body. We don't know how we are not able to control our body. But the super soul is the knower of all the body which is there in this universe. Okay, all the body. So that is the difference. And he knows fully. We know partially, Krishna knows fully. Okay, so that is the difference. So the thing is, field is this body, and knower of this field are two things. One is the soul and one is the super soul. Soul knows limited about this body, but the super soul knows fully about this body, and not this body. Super soul knows about every body in this universe. Okay, so that is the difference between these two. So what are the things discussed in the purports of 1 and 2 sloka? Let's try to understand. Okay, so let's try to understand. See, Setra and Kshetragyam, for whom we get body as the field of activity. Who? Conditioned soul. So the conditioned soul get body, the Kshetra. About the Kshetra is the description about the body. Who gets the body? Conditioned souls get the body. Why does he get this the body? Because soul is entrapped in material existence because of attempt to lord over it. The desire to lord over the material nature. Soul get entrapped. Okay, soul get entangled. Okay, so that is the thing. So body, how the soul get entangled in the body? For the desire to lord it over the material nature. Okay, then criteria, how to decide which thing decide which body will get. So according to the capacity to dominate material nature. According to the capacity to enjoy sense gratification, one gets a particular type of body to function accordingly. Okay. So these type of things decide what is our desire, how we can dominate the material nature, what is our capacity to dominate, what desires we have. Based on that, we get the body. Okay, so that is we got the body. Who get the body? Why we get the body? Okay. Then comes the Kshetragya. So two things are there. That one more thing is there. That farmer is different and the field is different. There's difference between the farmer and the field. Farmer is not the field. Okay. This body and soul is different. We are not this body. Okay. We may say, living entity may say we are this body, but he is not the body. Okay. Farmer and field are not the same. So Kshetragya, the knower of the field, how to understand the difference between the body and knower of the body? How to understand that there is body is different, soul is different based on the changing phase of body. Changing phase of body means every time, every second we are changing. Our body changing, our cells of the body changing, our structure is changing. New cells are being regenerated, new cells are being generated, old cells are dying, old cells are dying. But we are still the same. Who is the same thing? This body changing and the farmer is same. The body changing, the soul is same. Okay, that is the changing process of the body. Second is the intuitive understanding. We know through our intuition that a person who looks from outside is different from a person who is actually he is. If a very ugly person is there, we don't directly think that he will be ugly by nature also. He may be very nice by nature, but his body is very ugly. That may be there. That means the body is different, the person is different. That is called intuitive understanding. When a person dies, okay, his body may be lying in front of us, but we will say that he has passed away. Who has passed away? The body is still there. That means the body is different, the soul is different. The soul has passed, the body is still there. We know this fact. That is called intuitive understanding. We know. Okay. We know that the body is different and soul is different. Okay. And we practice these things, but we are not able to accept the fact. Okay. So that is called Kshetra and Kshetragya, knower of this body. Then comparison of knowledge in 3 sections of Bhagavad Gita in chapter 1 to 6 discusses the knower of the body and the position by which he can understand the Supreme Lord. Okay. What the difference between the body and the soul. And the second part, that is chapter number 7 to 12, discusses the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the relationship between the individual soul and the super soul. 7 to 12 chapter purely based on the Bhakti Yoga chapters. Okay. So what is the relationship between the Lord and the super soul? So super soul and the soul, that is being described. It describes the superior position of Krishna and subordinate position of living entity. The living entity is subordinate to Krishna. It is not that living entity are equal to Krishna. Okay. The Mayavadi says that Krishna and us both are same only, at the same level. Okay. They say that we are also Lord. Krishna is also Lord. Every person is Lord. Okay. So they do not accept that inferior nature of the jiva as and the superior nature of the Supreme Soul. That is called atheistic philosophy. The Mayavadi philosophy is actually atheistic philosophy. If we are also Lord, this person is also Lord, this book is also Lord, this anything, this computer is also Lord, everything is Lord. So that is actually, so there is no proper respect for the Lord. Everything is Lord. So that is actually another kind of atheistic theory only. That's called Mayavad theory. Okay. 4 kinds. So it describes the superior position of Krishna and our position in inferior. And the 4 kinds of pious people who approach Krishna. That we have discussed in chapter 7 to 12. Now the 13 to 18 chapter explains how the living entity comes in contact with the material nature. Okay. So material nature mainly described here, how the material, 3 modes of material nature are. This material nature world is compared to a tree, inverted tree. Okay. About our desires, those things are being discussed in these chapters, and explains how living entity is delivered by the Lord through different methods. Okay, so these things are being explained in the following chapters. Okay, so these things we'll discuss in the purports. That's why we have discussed. We are going a little slow because this chapter is very hard to understand. Okay. So now Krishna answers question 3, 4, 5, the field of activity, the knower of the field, and the knowledge. So let's try to understand. Kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetragyor jnanam yat taj jnanam matam mama. Osayana Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all body. And to understand this body and its owner is called knowledge. That in my opinion. Okay, what is his opinion? He is saying that I am also knower of all the body and soul is also knower of all the body. Okay, and to know the relationship and to know about the soul, about the knower and the knower of the field and the field is called the knowledge. To understand this body and this its owner is called the knowledge. Okay, so to understand the body and to understand the knower of this body. So we know 2 owner of this body. One is soul, one is super soul. So to know about the body and to know about the soul and the super soul, that is called knowledge. That is Krishna's opinion. Okay. 3 pictures are there. Krishna is when a person is conscious, when a person is semi-conscious, when a person is unconscious. Okay, Krishna is there. Krishna is different from this. These are the conscious, unconscious, semi-conscious. Krishna is different from all those things. Okay, Krishna is different. This body is different. So this represents the body, conscious, consciousness, semi-consciousness, or unconsciousness. And there is Atma and there is Paramatma. These 2 are different. Okay, These two are different, body is different. So to understand all the three differences, all the relationship between these things, is called a knowledge. Okay. So in this purport, what is being described? Let's see. So Lord Krishna defines Kshetra and Kshetragya and the Jnanam. Kshetragya is soul and the super soul. And the Jnanam is knowledge of the soul, super soul, and the body. So answer to the fourth question. There is also a second knower of all the field, that is called super soul. All the field, you see, all the field. That is called Kshetragya. Answer to fifth question. To understand body and its knower is called the knowledge. What is knowledge? Body. So let's see the knowledge, jnana, is described here. So two types of jnana. Is the jnana about the body or the field, and two types of knower is called the jnana. Two types of knower. Who are these two types of knower? One is called super soul and one is the individual soul. How Krishna is the knower? Krishna is the super soul, is the plenary expansion of Krishna. The super soul is the plenary expansion of Krishna. Krishna says, I am also the knower, but not the individual knower of the body. He is not the individual knower. He is present in everybody and he knows about everybody. Okay. He is present in everybody as a super knower. Okay. So that is the thing. So basic thing is the difference, okay, between the soul and the super soul. That is the basic thing. So that is the difference between the soul and super soul. That is the two knowers. What is the difference? So that is represented in a tabular form. Let's try to understand between the soul and the super soul. The soul, living entity, are known as the Jivatma, and the super soul, God as maintainer, is known as Paramatma. Okay, so living entity is known as Jivatma, super soul is known as Paramatma. Then the soul's dimension, it is mentioned, it is called 1 upon 10,000 part of the tip of the hair. Okay, that's why it is called Anu, very small. But super soul is Vibhu, infinite. Okay, so these are two knowers. We are trying to understand that about the two knowers, soul and the super soul. So living entity, the soul is Anu, very small. The super soul is infinite, Vibhu. Okay, soul is cognizant of one's own body only, individual knower. Soul knows about his own body, but that too not fully. But super soul, cognizant of everyone's and everything, he is called supernova. Everybody, he is knowing about everybody and he is knowing in full. Soul is secondary proprietor of one's body, but super soul is the supreme proprietor of all the bodies. Super soul has all the bodies, proprietor of all the bodies. Soul is the single proprietor of one's body. Okay. Soul is the secondary controller of the senses. Okay. But Lord is the supreme controller of the senses. Supreme controller. Okay. Soul is fallible, super soul is infallible. Fallible, so can fall from its position. That is called marginal energy. We are the marginal energy. Okay. Actually, we are superior energy, but we tend to attract to the material energy. We tend to entangle ourselves in the material energy. That's why we are called fallible. We fall from our position. Super soul is infallible. He doesn't fall from his position. Okay. The soul's position is a loving servitor. Servitor means servant. So his position is like a servant to Krishna, to super soul. But super soul is eternally a loving master. He's superior. Okay. So many living entities are there. So many souls are there. Innumerable living entities. But super soul, although it is present in everyone's heart, he is one only. If in this room there are 3 people are there, then there will be four living entity will be there. Okay. 3 jivas and one is the super soul. One super soul in everyone's heart. Okay. That it looks like every person has different super soul, but all the super souls are same only. So that is counted as one. Though super soul is in heart of every living entity and within every atom, still there is only one super soul. Okay. So that is the difference between the soul and super soul. Little bit difficult, but slowly we'll understand so that you understand. Okay.
tat chetram yakcha yadrakcha yad vikari yatascha yat sacha yo yat prabhavascha tat samasena me shrinu. Now please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are, and whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activity is, and what is his influences are. So let's try to understand about the field of activity and about the field, how this field is made, how this field is constituted, and what are the different changes this field are going on. Okay, so let's try to understand these changes. Now Krishna is going to describe about this body. ऋषिभिर् बहुधा गीतं छन्दोभिर् विविधै पृथक् ब्रह्मा सूत्रपदैश्चैव हेतुमद्भिर्विनिश्चितः. That knowledge of field of activities and of the knower of the activities is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and its effect. Okay, so the knowledge of field of activity, and it is described by various sages in Vedic writings. Okay, like Vedanta Sutra, there are actually 6 kinds of Vedanta Sutra there, and out of them there is a Vedanta Sutra written by not 6 kind. The Vedanta Sutras are there. Okay, and commentaries on Vedanta Sutra mainly are the 6 commentaries. So Vedanta Sutra written by Vyasadeva only, and commentaries are 6. Okay, so many commentaries are there. Okay, and many different commentaries are there. But according to for the Vaishnava, the commentary written by Govinda Bhashya, that commentary is for the Vaishnava. Okay, other than that also commentaries are there, but that is not relatable to the Vaishnava philosophy. Okay. So let's try to understand this. So what are the different types of things which are making this body? So 5 great elements: false ego, intelligence, and the unmanifested; 10 senses and the mind; the 5 sense objects: desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms and convictions. All these are considered in summary to be the field of activity and its interactions. Okay. So how this field is being made, how this body is being made. So total in this world, if you see, total 26 elements are there in total in this world. What are the 26 elements? We are going to describe all these 26 elements. Okay. So central theme of purpose is indicate that field are the, so this is sloka number, text number 6.6 to 7. It indicates that field or the body is a non-permanent material thing, and the Kshetragya or the knower of the field is different from the field. 24 things are there, which is making the material body, and 2, the soul and super soul are there, which are different. Okay, so the material things are non-permanent. It will be changing, but the soul is different, super soul is different. Okay, these 2 knowers are there in the body. These 2 knowers are situated in the body. 24 elements are making this body, and 2 things are there. 2 knowers are there, which is different from this body. So these 2 things are different. Component of field of activities are, what are the components which is described? So 5 great elements are there. What are the 5 great elements? Earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These are the 5 great elements. Panch Mahabhut. These are called Panch Mahabhut. These 5 great elements are there. Total 24 we want to see. Okay, so let's try to understand one by one. So 5 great elements are there. Next, the 5 sense objects are there. Okay, so what are the sense objects? So before that, we'll see the 11 senses including the mind. Okay, so 11 senses including the mind. So what are the 11 senses including the mind? So 11 senses including the mind means 1 is the mind. So there are 10 senses are left. So what are the 10 senses? We have the Gyanendriya, we have the Karmendriya. Gyanendriya, we already know that we have the tongue, we have the ear, we have the nose, we have the eye, and we have the skin. So these are called the 5 Gyanendriya, okay, through which we acquire the knowledge. And 5 Karmendriyas are there through which we do work. Okay, so what are these 5 Karmendriyas? So Karmendriyas are like the genitalia, the anus, okay, and the hand and leg, and one is the, I think one is the, one I'm forgetting, I think that is tongue. Okay. So that is these are total the 10 elements, and one is the mind. So that is the 11 elements, and 2 are intelligence and false ego. So totally, if you see, 11 are the this senses and intelligence and false ego. These are called total 13. Total 13 elements, and 5 elements are Panch Mahabhut. Okay, so 13 plus 5, how much? 18. Okay, and now 5 sense objects are also there. What are the 5 sense objects? If senses are there, there will be sense object in this material world. This material world is full now. So if senses are there, Lord has made the senses, then sense objects are also there in this material world. So what are the sense object? Like eye is there. So for eye, there will be some form will be there. Okay, so some form. So form is the object for the eye. For the nose, there will be smell. For the nose, there will be smell. So nose is the object of sense for the nose. Okay, so these things will be there. Then for the tongue, taste will be there. Okay, for the ear, some sound will be there. Okay, and for the skin, some touch will be there. So these are the 5 things. These are called object of the senses, sense objects. Okay, so we have known that 5 Gyanendriyas are there, and 5 sense objects are there, and then 5 Karmendriya are there, and then 1 the mind, false intelligence, and false ego are there. So how many are there? So total 5, 5, 5, 15 plus 3, 18 plus 5, 5, 5 plus 5. That 18 plus 5 will be 23. So these constitute 23. One is left. One is called the unmanifested stage of 3 mode, called the Pradhan. Pradhan. Okay. The Pradhan are called the unmanifested, or it is called Mahat Tattva. Okay, it is also called Mahat Tattva. So that is the unmanifested stage of the 3 modes, Pradhan. Okay, so that is called the Pradhan, and that constitute 1. So these are the 24 elements. That these are the constituents. What are these things? 5 great elements, 5 sense objects, 5 Karmendriya are the object of working. Okay, and 3 are the mind, false ego, and intelligence. Okay, and then the unmanifested. So these are the total 24 elements. Okay. Interaction of gross and subtle body. So these interaction, gross body is the 5 Pancha Mahabhut, and the subtle body is the mind, intelligence, and false ego. So interaction will bring these things. What are the interaction? The gross body interaction will bring desire, hatred, happiness, and distress. So gross body interaction will bring desire, hatred, happiness, and distress. And subtle body will bring living symptoms represented by consciousness and convictions. Consciousness and conviction represented by subtle body, gross body, interactions of the gross body and the subtle body. These are the gross body and subtle body interactions. Okay. Next, Pradhana, or the unmanifested part. So 5 great elements are a gross representation of false ego, technically called materialistic conception or tamas buddhi, which represent unmanifested 3 modes called Pradhan. Okay. So unmanifested or Pradhan, basically this is the basic thing from which all the material elements are being built. Okay, based on which all the material elements are being built. Okay, so 5 great elements are the gross representative of false ego, which represent the unmanifested 3 modes called Pradhan. Okay, so these are the Pradhana is there, that is the main element. And the basics of this knowledge is authorities as per Bhagavad Gita 13.5 translation. So if you see 13.5, there will be Vedanta Sutra. Okay, the commentaries on Vedanta Sutra. Who has written the commentary? Those are the authority. Like Vyasadeva is there, Parashar Muni is there. Okay, these names are written in the Bhagavad 13.5. So these are the authorities. So these are the basics of the knowledge. And the 6 changes the body. So this body is being made of these 24 elements. And in this body, 2 knowers are there, soul and the super soul. So total 26 things are there in this material world. And this body goes through 6 changes. What are the 6 changes? Birth, grow, stage, byproduct, decay, and death. Okay, so living body takes birth, then it's grow, stay for some time, reproduce, then decay and death. Okay, so these are the 6 changes all body goes through. So these are the discussion, very big discussion. So purpose, very big purpose. Every purpose will be described like this only in this chapter. Interaction and transformation of field of activity. So these are the field of activity interactions. Okay. So this we have discussed. Now, section C, 8 to 12. Krishna's further answer to question 5, the process of knowledge and liberation. Okay. So what is the knowledge? So Krishna described these things are knowledge. Okay. These things are knowledge. In this sloka, 8 to 12, Krishna described these things are knowledge. And after this, if anything is there, that is called ignorance. So two things Krishna described, knowledge and ignorance. Okay, in these sloka. So if anything coming under these category, that is called the knowledge. If anything coming other than that, that is called the ignorance. So what is these categories? Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the object of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge, and beside this, whatever there may be is ignorance. Okay. So these items are called the item of the knowledge. Beside these, if any other knowledge is there, that is called the ignorance. Okay. So when we read the purport, Prabhupada describe each one of them. Okay. So let's see quickly what these knowledge items are there and what is the meaning. Okay. So what is the meaning of these knowledge item? Humility. Humility, not to be anxious to have satisfaction of being honored. Actually, honor and dishonor comes from our karma. Whatever karma we have done, honor will come, dishonor will come. So we should not be too anxious to have satisfaction. So not to be anxious to have satisfaction of being honored. Humility. Humility. Okay. So that is the quality of a devotee, that they will have humility. Not to be anxious to have satisfaction of being honored. Honor, dishonor comes from our karma, what we have done. Okay. Pridelessness. So how to cultivate these things? If these things are the object of the knowledge, if these are the object of the knowledge, okay, these are the knowledge, items of the knowledge. Object is Krishna only, but the items, these are the items. Humility, pridelessness, understanding you are not the body, and thus honor and dishonor are the same. Honor and dishonor, these are related to the bodily concept. If we consider ourselves that we are not his body, honor and dishonor doesn't have any meaning. That is called pridelessness. Okay. Non-violence, ahimsa. Unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. Okay. For a devotee, the violence doesn't only mean that if one person is harming other person, one person is killing other person, that is non-violence. For them, even if any person is talking ill to any other person, that is also a non-violence. But a person who is a devotee, he has a spiritual knowledge. He knows that every person is suffering. Every person is suffering here, and he has the knowledge of the Supreme. He knows how the person can be saved from this suffering. And if this person is not giving the spiritual knowledge to other, if the person is not elevating other people to the spiritual knowledge, that is also a kind of that is also a kind of violence. Okay. So person who is not elevating other people to spiritual knowledge is also practicing violence. So that is what a devotee understand about the non-violence. Then the tolerance. Be practiced to bear insult and dishonor from the others. Tolerance. Okay. When we try to when we follow the path of devotional service, many people who are materialistic, they will think this person is like a mad. Okay, what this person is doing, he is not enjoying the other thing. he is not enjoying the other thing. Okay. But for a materialistic person, these things will be like the things of the spiritual realization will be like, this person is not enjoying anything. But a spiritualist, he knows he is in company of Krishna and enjoying the most. Okay. And he feels that the other person is distressed because they are not able to taste the blissfulness. Okay. So that is the thing. So to practice to bear insult. So people will be, the materialistic people will be sometimes insulting. Okay. And we should be tolerant among them. We should be tolerant to them. Okay. And dishonor, tolerant, insult and dishonor from them. Okay. Simplicity. If you see the devotee, they are very simple. Simplicity. So straightforward that you can disclose the truth even to the enemy. That is called simplicity. You can disclose the truth even to an enemy. Accepting a spiritual master. This is essential. No more discussion on that. This is the most essential thing. Okay. Accepting the spiritual master. A spiritual master guides us in every path of our life to the spiritual life. Spiritual life. Okay. So we need a guru. We need a spiritual master to guide us to progress ourselves in the spiritual path. Okay. The spiritual path is not easy without a spiritual master. With a spiritual master, just try to follow the spiritual master. That is the way to the spiritual way, spiritual world. Okay. So that is the thing. How simple. When we accept a spiritual master, just follow the instruction of a spiritual master, and that is very easy for the spiritual realization. Okay. Very easy path. Accepting a spiritual master, following the instructions. If you see the instruction, if you see the Prabhupada example, Prabhupada is 2 instructions he got from his Guru Maharaj. Follow, preach this teaching of the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to the Western people, the outside India. Okay. And second one, whenever you get money, try to print books. We see the books now, we see the preaching now. Okay. Just he followed the path of his, the instruction of his spiritual master. That is the thing. That is the essential. Accepting a spiritual master. Whatever instruction is there, if you follow that, your life is like in the spiritual way. Okay, spiritual world. Then comes the cleanliness, saucham. So 2 cleanliness, external body, internal body. Okay. So bathing is for cleanliness of external, and chanting is for internal cleanliness, purification of our heart. Chanting. Okay. Then comes the steadiness. Okay. Steadiness means determined to make progress in the spiritual life. Steadiness. Okay. Our aim should be one. We want to achieve that spiritual world. I want to achieve Krishna in our life, and that person should be determined. Okay. Maya will be there. He will be trying. So we are surrendered by the materialistic people. Surrendered by the materialistic people. If we are not steadiness, if we are not, means our aim is not fixed. Okay. Maya can take us anytime. Okay. And it happens when time. Maya is very strong. That's why devotee association is very important. Okay. Self-control. Reject anything unfavorable to spiritual advancement and control of the senses. Self-control means unfavorable. If a devotee sees that, okay, tea, coffee is there, okay, he won't drink. Reject any, because that is not favorable for a spiritual advancement. Tea, coffee, that is also a kind of addiction. Okay. If there is a tobacco is having theophylline. Theophylline is there, or caffeine is there? No, caffeine is in the tea, coffee. So theophylline, caffeine, and tobacco has, I think, theophylline only. The name of the addictant. Okay. The substance which addict. So, and the caffeine is just the brother of the theophylline, and we are taking little dose daily. That is also a kind of addiction. A person who is addicted to coffee, they will, their physical addiction, mental addiction, everything will be there. If they don't drink tea, they will feel agitated. Okay, agitated. I want to drink. Anyhow, I want to drink. Okay, like that. I'm not feeling, my mouth is drying. I'm not feeling good. Okay, so that thing will be there. That is also a kind of addiction. We should avoid that. Okay. So reject anything unfavorable for spiritual advancement. Same thing. Okay. Onion, garlic. Onion, garlic is like tamoguna. It increases our sexual desire. Onion, garlic, moong dal, masoor dal. Moong dal, not masoor dal. It is also a tamoguna, okay, food of tamoguna. So if we eat these things, they increases our sexual desire, and it is sexual desire is the most strongest desire. Okay, the attachment of this world to this world, sex is the most um, mm, stubborn attachment to this material world. Okay, and these things increases the desire. So the devotee who is trying to progress in the path of devotion, they should avoid these things: tea, coffee, okay, onion, garlic, masoor dal. These things are not good for the spiritual health. So reject anything unfavorable to spiritual advancement and the control of senses. That is called self-control. Renunciation of sense objects, not to cater to unnecessary demands, and gratified only to keep body fit for the DS something written, okay? Daily work. So not to cater to unnecessary demand. We should not be catering to unnecessary demand. Gratify only to keep the body fit, okay? So that is called renunciation of the sense object. Absence of false ego. Reject that I am this body or mind, accept that I am Krishna's servant. False ego and true ego is there. Ego means identity. So our false ego means I am this body, I am the master of everything, I am very talented person. That is called false ego. True ego, I am Krishna's servant. That is called true ego. So absence of false ego is this thing. Okay. Perceptions of evil. Evil means these things. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. Okay. Regularly hear about these from the proper source. Become disgusted with material life. Okay. So regularly we should hear about these things from the spiritual master, from the advanced devotees. Okay. Detachment. Be ready to sacrifice everything for Krishna. That is called detachment. It is not that Krishna wants our everything from our life. It is not like that. Whatever things is not necessary for our spiritual life, Krishna wants that. Okay, that is the thing. Detachment. Okay, like basic principle I told you: meat eating, intoxication, gambling, okay, illicit sex. These things are basic things. We should be detached from these things first. No entanglement with wife, children, family, etc. Okay. Should practice it if you can do it in a Krishna conscious way. But renounce if unfavorable for Krishna conscious. Okay. Many people may say that my family members are totally against Krishna consciousness. Okay. Totally against Krishna consciousness. So how? So the thing will be like, if totally against Krishna consciousness, try to give them Krishna consciousness. Try to introduce them with Krishna consciousness. That will be the ahimsa, greatest ahimsa for your family member. That will be greatest contribution of yours to the family members. Okay. Otherwise, every person is suffering. Family members are suffering. Even if you are not able to, we should be like telling them about Krishna consciousness every other way. We should be practicing Krishna consciousness in that way. We should be making our family a Krishna conscious family, so that our association is in the home only. So the fall down chances will be very less. If our association is in the home only, our wife is Krishna conscious, our parents are Krishna conscious, our child is Krishna conscious, this way the home is, then it is very easy to practice Krishna conscious. So Krishna will be centered in the home. Okay, so that thing is even-mindedness, not elated or distressed at material gain or loss by performing unbreakable devotional service. Then unalloyed devotional service, Ananya Bhakti, engaging oneself in the 9 processes of Bhakti, Ananya Bhakti. Okay. Aspiring to live in a solitary place. Solitary place means not mixing with the materialistic people, not desiring to mix with the materialistic people. Live in association of the devotee. Okay. Detachment from the general mass of people, not mixing with materialistic people. Same. Accepting the importance of spiritual realization. Okay. Accepting the importance of spiritual realization. Giving up unnecessary sporting, cinema going, non-devotional cinema, obviously. Social activity, avoiding, wasting time, wasting time. Okay. Accepting the importance of self-realization. Philosophical search. Rejection of useless research and philosophical topics. People are engaged in research. What in research are half of the research is fake only. They are most of the research which is a person who knows how research are being conducted, most of the research are manipulated. Okay, so those things are there. Rejection of useless research and philosophical topics. So these are the things, the object of the knowledge. Then the process of the knowledge. What is the process of the knowledge? Cultivation of these quality. The mention these quality which we have discussed now is the real method of acquiring the knowledge. These are the knowledge are there. Anything speculated beyond this item is called the ignorance. So one is knowledge, one is ignorance. Okay. So many knowledge we see in the materialistic one. Actually, they are filling us with the feeling of materialism. Okay, materialism, real knowledge, how to practice the humility, how a person can be humble. Okay. Just 1 second. I'm alone in the house. No one is there. Just 1 second. Okay. So we are discussing about the knowledge and ignorance. Okay. So the knowledge which is making a progress in the spiritual life, that is the actual knowledge. The knowledge of which is compelling us towards the material life, that is actually not the knowledge which we think that is actually not the knowledge. That is a method of ignorance only. We are forgetting our real self. We are attaching too much ourselves to the material knowledge. So that is actually not a knowledge. That is actually a thing of ignorance only. Okay. So that is the thing. So ignorance. So knowledge, with the topics which are mentioned, that is called the object of the knowledge. And the topics which are not mentioned, that is called the ignorance. Okay. So now Krishna answers question 6, object of the knowledge. So what are the object of the knowledge? So let's see, 2 slokas are there, 13 to 8. Soul can know the super soul, who is the object of the knowledge and who exists everywhere and pervade everything. The super soul has transcendental senses and he is the source of all our senses. He is unattached and he maintains all the living entity. Only a devotee can understand the field of activity, the body and the process of knowledge, and both the soul and the super soul. So let's see section D. Object of the knowledge, Gaya. Okay. Soul and the super soul. Soul and the super soul. So let's see. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, the beginningless, and the subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Okay. So text number 13. This verse answers Arjuna's 6th question, the Gayam. Soul and the super soul are real object to be known. Soul and the super soul are real object. Bhagavad Gita 13.13 describe the first object of the knowledge, that is the soul. First object. Soul is the first object of the knowledge. So who is Gayam? Living entity is also knowable. Super soul is also knowable. Okay. But living entity as the knowable, super soul as the knowable and the knower. What is the benefit of knowing the knowable? Knowable means Gayam. Gayam. Okay. The Gayam, knowable. Soul and the super soul are real object to be known. Benefit of knowing the knowable is one can release the nectar of life. Okay. So the first, that is the soul, it is describing the soul, subordinate position of the soul. Okay. And this one is describing the super soul. The sloka number 14. Sarvatah pani padam tat sarvatokshi shiro mukham sarvata shruti malloke sarvatam avartaya tisthati. Everywhere are his hand and legs, his eyes, head and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everywhere. So that 13.13 describes the about the soul, and this 13.14 describe the super soul. Everywhere his eyes are there, everywhere his he's everywhere. Okay, so this was answer to Arjuna's 6th question, that is Gayam. Two parts are there of Gayam, soul and the super soul. So this verse, the 14th verse, describe the Gayam, or the super soul. Okay, super soul is all pervading. Super soul is all pervading, and Srila Prabhupada strongly confirms that this verse describes the super soul, not the living entity. The Mayavadi philosophy, they will tell 13 and 14 both are same only. Okay, both are describing that we are also Brahman, super soul is also Brahman, everyone is Brahman, everyone is God. Okay, like that. That this sloka, that his hands are everywhere, his body, his eyes are everywhere, it is not for the body, it is for the super soul. So Prabhupada strongly confirmed that this verse describes the super soul, not the living entity. Okay, so that is the difference. Sarvendriya gunabhasham sarvendriya vivarjitam ashaktam sarvabhrikchaiva nirgunam gunabhoktracha. The super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all the living beings. He transcends the mode of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all the modes of material nature. It describes the super soul, that he is beyond, without senses. He is the source of all the senses, yet he is without the senses. He is unattached, although he is maintainer of all the living entity. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he is master of all the modes of nature. Okay, his superior nature, super soul, superior nature, that is described here. Okay, the supreme truth exists both internally and externally, in the moving and non-moving. He is beyond the power of material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also very near. He is in Goloka Vrindavan, very far, 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 far. But he is also in our heart, in form of Paramatma. He is also nearest to all. He is very far, yet he is very near. That is the Achintya Rupa of Krishna. Achintya, we cannot conceive about him. He is very far. He cannot walk. Still he walks. How can it happen? It can happen with Krishna. He is very far, yet he is nearest. He is very far, means he is in Goloka, very, very far, very far. Yet he is the nearest most person of the Atma, the super soul, in the form of super soul. Achintya Rupa. That is called Achintya Rupa. Okay. And there is difference. Achintya, that is called Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Okay, we have already described in previous, someone has asked Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. So in ISKCON, we follow the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Achintya means it is not conceivable. Okay, and the thing is, Bheda Bheda Tattva means we are simultaneously same qualitatively, yet we are different quantitatively. Okay, it is not that any person says, no, we are same. We are not same. Quantity wise is very different. We are very different. Quality wise, yes, it may be same. So we are similar also, we are different also. That is called Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Okay. Although the super soul appear to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. So one concept we have already taken, that in this room, if 3 people are there, how many super soul are there? Super soul is one only. Okay. So although the super soul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devotes and develops all. Okay. That is about super soul, maintainer of every living entity. And he devotes and develops all. He devotes also, he develops also. Okay. Maintainer. Super soul is undivided. Every person has super soul is one only. Okay, so if 3, that example. Although super soul appear divided, but is situated at one. Although maintainer of all living entity, he devours and develops all. Okay. He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of the knowledge and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in every person's heart. He is knowledge. Krishna is the knowledge. Krishna is the object of the knowledge as well as Krishna is the goal of knowledge. Situated in every person's heart. He is the source of light in all the luminous objects. So you see, light. So this person is reading. This person, this through the light it is reading. Krishna represents this source of light. Krishna represents this light also. Krishna represents the person who is reading. Everything. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge. He is the goal of knowledge. Everything Krishna only. Okay. Krishna is the source of light in all luminous objects. Super soul is beyond the darkness of matter and in the unmanifested. He is knowledge, object of the knowledge, goal of the knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Okay. Thus, the field of activity, the body, knowledge, and the knowable has been summarily described by me. Only my devotee can understand this thoroughly and thus attain my nature. So Krishna has described the body, the Chaitram, and the knower of this body, the knower of the body, soul, and the super soul. So he has described and the interactions of the body, and to know about this body and the knower of this body. The knowledge also described by Krishna. Who can understand this? Only a devotee. Okay. So qualification to understand Kshetra, Kshetragya, Gyan and Geyam. So fully understand by the devotee only. So Kshetra is there. Kshetra is called the field of activity. That is body. Kshetragya. Two Kshetragya are there. Soul and the super soul. And Jnana. Jnana means knowledge and its process of acquiring the knowledge is called Jnana. And Geyam. Geyam means object of the knowledge. So these four things. Who can understand this? You see? Bhakta. Fully understood by the devotee, Mad Bhakta. Krishna Bhakta can understand these all things fully, who has the knowledge of Krishna. Okay? Mad Bhakta. Knowledge, you see here. Knowledge means understanding oneself in Krishna consciousness and realizing Krishna in everything. That is called knowledge. Knowledge doesn't mean that we have this knowledge, we have that knowledge. We are flooded with the knowledge. We are in the knowledge that Russia is fighting with the Ukraine. We have this knowledge that something is going on this country, that country, something is happening. This is not the knowledge. The knowledge means our relationship with Krishna. Okay, that is called the knowledge. Okay, knowledge is nothing but preliminary stage of understanding devotional service perfectly. Okay, and Vijnana. Knower, knowable, and the process of knowing is called science of knowledge or Vijnana. Okay. Conclusion of 13.18 is devotional service. Explain the super soul and the soul as the knowable, and super soul is the ultimate object to be known. Super soul is the object of the knowledge to be the known. Okay. So these things you have learned about this till this. Okay. So we'll take the next section from the next class, because I will have to take level 1 class from the 8 p.m. So I think few slides are still left. So we'll take up these slides next time. Okay. I think from 20 to 26. So section E will take up next class. Okay. From here. Yes, there. So a little bit left, about 20 slides. So tomorrow we'll finish this. So I hope you are understanding, because this 13th chapter is little bit harder. People find it very hard to understand. So I'm going a little bit slow so that you will understand every concept. And when you read, it will be very nice to read. You will understand, then you will find it very easy to understand. Okay. Hare Krishna, Prerna Mataji, or
Hare
the
Krishna,
network is
Prabhuji.
not that much good. Yes, I know.
Yes, Prabhu. I was actually traveling. That's why my network was
Yes,
not
it's no
in a
problem,
good
Mataji.
shape.
So we don't have any question this time.